If you're interested in finding out what are the best, healthiest foods that you can eat, you're going to want to watch this video because I'm going to go over 4 of the questions that you can ask yourself when you want to determine if something is healthy for you or not. And I'm also going to give you a list of some of the healthiest foods to eat. So stay tuned for this video. So, food is undoubtedly the most important aspect of health because you are what you eat and you are what you digest. So, if your digestion is working good and you're getting the right foods, then you're taking a really big step in improving your health. So, I'm going to go over a couple of the basic guidelines as far as food goes. So there's 4 questions that you can ask yourself every time you're wondering if something is healthy for you or not. The first question is this a whole food? So this means, is the food in its whole natural state? Is it identifiable? So if you're looking at something like a piece of fruit or a vegetable that you just pulled out of the garden, something like that, those are always whole foods and those are always the best types of foods to eat. The second question is, has this food been heavily processed? So that kind of goes along with the first one. If you are buying a lot of foods that come in packaging, most likely they've been processed, but not always. So it's always good to check to make sure that what you're buying is mostly organic ingredients, if possible, and ingredients that you can pronounce. If you see a lot of ingredients on the list that you can't pronounce or things that just look iffy, then that's a good indication that it has been heavily processed. And there's a lot of foods that are notorious for being heavily processed, such as salami and those types of lunch meats have all been heavily processed, hot dogs as well. And a lot of things that are in a can, especially if they're like a full meal. A lot of the things that come frozen can even be heavily processed. If it's a whole meal in there, like it comes, all you gotta do is heat it up, chances are it's been processed. Was this food grown using antibiotics and pesticides? If it has antibiotics and pesticides in them, you're pretty much guaranteed that it's not healthy. And this can go for even if it's fruit or vegetables, because those things are grown in the soil and they come from the soil, so they get their nutrients that way. And if their nutrients, are coming from soil that's been sprayed, or if the animal that you're eating, such as chicken or beef, has had antibiotics, then it's going to affect the quality of the food. Are there any harmful chemicals added? This kind of goes along with the other questions. But if you actually look at your list of the ingredient list, if you're buying something that's in a package, that's how you can tell. And there are ways to learn which chemicals are harmful. And like I said, it's always best to go with whole foods. So if you have any doubt at all, just try to aim for whole foods. So another list of examples of whole foods here is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, whole grains, legumes, and beans. This is not a complete list. This is just the majority of them. So most of your healthy foods are going to fall under the top 2 categories, of course. I think everyone can agree that fruits and vegetables is something that most people should eat more of. They don't get enough of, and especially vegetables. And this is why the vegan movement is so powerful, is so strong, because it's plant-based, and you can't really go wrong with plant-based. The only thing is if you are eating a vegan diet or a lot of plants and no animal products, make sure you get your proteins in some other ways. So there's a lot of vegetables that have protein, especially when it comes to dark leafy greens. So there's spinach has a lot of protein, and of course nuts have protein in them as well. So this is a quick list to get you started. 15 of the healthiest foods to add to your diet. So I'm going to go over all of these in detail and explain why they are healthy and in ways that you can eat them. So the first one on this list is berries, especially blueberries and raspberries. And this is a good example of how you should eat according to the rainbow. A variety of colors is extremely healthy. So berries, they come in a lot of colors. There's even black ones. There's, just there's so many different kind of berries out there, and if you just eat a little bit of all of them, you're covered. And then sweet potatoes is on this list. These are more healthy for you than white potatoes. So if you're eating like the typical kind, it would be like the russet, those kinds, like the ones that you would make baked potatoes out of. Sweet potatoes they're kind of an orange color, and they don't need a lot of seasoning. You can add herbs to them, but they're good just frying up in some butter or some olive oil, and then just put some, Italian herbs on them. They're really easy that way because potatoes are kind of well, the regular potatoes that most people think of. They usually need to have a lot of stuff added to them to make them good, but sweet potatoes have that natural sweetness. Then the next one on this list is broccoli. And I also want to add broccoli sprouts also because broccoli sprouts are one of the most healthiest things that you can eat. Sprouts in general are just very healthy, and that's also on this list down further at the bottom. So broccoli is one of the ones that it shows up all the time on all these lists. So the next one is oats, and this is where it's important to note that steel cut oats are much better than the instant kind. And I'm not quite sure why that is, but the oats that are steel cut need more cooking time. I think they're the more natural version of it. They have not been processed like the instant oatmeal. Then the next one on this list is leafy greens, and I mentioned that a little bit ago. Spinach and kale and chard are three really good examples of that. You can eat them with salads. You can make smoothies with them. That's the beauty of smoothies is that you can throw those things in there and you can't taste them. You really just taste whatever the sweetness is. So if you're putting in a bunch of kale in your smoothie, it's giving you all of the nutrients without the flavor. And there's really not much flavor to kale or any leafy greens actually. So they're best to make smoothies and salads. And then the next one on this list is nuts. So the best ones are almonds, pecans, walnuts, and cashews. And it didn't make this list when I made this slide, but macadamia nuts are also really healthy. The only nuts that I think are actually bad for you, other than the fact that people can be allergic to them, are peanuts. I've heard in multiple times that peanuts are not one of the best nuts. So if you can, try to get into the habit of eating almonds, pecans, walnuts, and cashews. And here's a tip when it comes to almonds, the best, healthiest way to eat them is to soak them overnight. And then the outer section kind of falls off. And that outer peel, the brown part, is not very healthy for you. So what you want is the inside. So if you can find blanched almonds, even better. And then the next one on this list is avocados. And these are ones that pop up on many, many lists. And they're very good. They're the healthy fats. So they're great for your heart. And of course, fats are great for the brain. So avocados don't have a whole lot of flavor to them, but you can add them to smoothies as well. And those provide the creaminess. If you ever make a smoothie and it comes out grainy and gritty, that's because there was nothing in it to make it creamy. So avocados are perfect for that. You can also use bananas, but I prefer avocados because that's a great way to get those into your diet without having to make a special recipe. And then beans is another one on this list, and the reason why is because beans have protein. They are a great substitute if you are a vegan, a great substitute for beef because beans are very high in protein and they keep you full. The next one on this list is garlic. And I should add that garlic should not be eaten on a regular basis because it is actually not so great for your mind and your spirit. A lot of Buddhist monks never eat garlic because it prevents them from meditating in a better fashion. So if you don't care about that, it's no big deal. But if you're trying to achieve some sort of a spiritual enlightenment, I eat garlic sparingly, but the reason why garlic is on this list is because it is so good for prevention of colds and prevention of flus. So anytime you feel yourself coming down with something, it's always a good idea to incorporate garlic into your diet that day or that week. And then the next one on this list is lemons. Lemons are just amazing in so many ways. They're not only good for you physically, but they're also good for a natural cleaner. If you're into trying to avoid toxins and chemicals when you're cleaning, you can use lemon juice. So lemons are a great way to start your day. You can put some lemon juice in a glass of warm water, and that is a perfect way to start your morning, and it helps to get your stomach primed for digestion. The next one on this list is chia seeds, and these are something that you might not know how to incorporate into your diet, but they can really be added to anything at all. If you think about it, you can just sprinkle them on things. You can put them in smoothies, you can sprinkle them on salads, you can sprinkle them on almost anything. So they're a very easy thing to incorporate into your diet. And then the next one here is sprouts, which I kind of mentioned before. The reason why sprouts are so healthy is because when something is sprouting, it has way more nutrients and minerals than the other version, than the more mature version. So there's a lot of people that advocate eating sprouts regularly, and I do that as well. The next one on this list is quinoa, and this is something that can be a good alternative for pasta, although not what you're thinking probably. It's not a perfect substitute for pasta, but it can be used in many recipes, in for rice as well, if you're looking for a substitute for rice. So quinoa can be good in salads and in warm dishes as well. The next one on this list is salmon, and this is specifically salmon caught in the wild, not factory farmed. Salmon is one of the most healthiest fish, and um, it's very important to make sure that that is wild caught. And now you will pay a little bit more for those. So I don't eat salmon a whole lot because it's kind of expensive just for one serving, but it is the most healthiest fish. And then the next one on this list is lentils. So lentils, you might not know what those are. Those are another form of protein. They're kind of like a bean, only not really, and they are really big in Ayurveda. So there's a meal called khichdi. It's spelled Kitchari. And if you Google that, you'll find some recipes. Lentils is something that is it goes in khichdi quite well. You can mix it with rice and put spices in it. So lentils is another thing that you should incorporate into your diet if you can. If you are enjoying this video and want to learn more, the rest of this lesson is included in my online course, Holistic Lifestyle Basics. In this course, you will learn how to align your body, mind, and soul with nature, resulting in optimal health physically, mentally, and spiritually. The link is down below in the description, and I really hope that I can get the opportunity to guide you on your new holistic lifestyle journey.